This is the regular meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, June 21st. Please stand for our invocation led by Pastor David Smith, Oak Park Church, and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Shall we bow our heads for prayer? Dear Lord, we come to you today thanking you for this day you've made. We thank you for the wonderful privilege we have to live in this beautiful city. And God, I come to you first with thanksgiving and gratitude for the privilege to live in this city, for each of these council members, for the citizens of this city, and the blessings that you've bestowed upon us. And I ask you today in particular that you will grant wisdom to each of these council members. I pray blessings upon their families, upon the families and the individuals that serve this city. And we ask for your wisdom. And as you teach us to pray, we ask today that your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And I ask these things in the name of my Savior and Redeemer, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Roll call. President Small.
Here.
Vice President Gregory.
Here.
Councilmember Penn.
Here.
Councilmember Carroll.
Here.
Councilmember Reynolds. Here. Councilmember Daves.
Here.
Councilmember Jones.
Here.
Statement of rules.
And good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see everybody this morning. Welcome to our June the 21st meeting, first day of summer. Seemed like summer was here about a month ago, amen. But at this meeting, we do have rules. At this time, I ask if anyone has any type of electronic device, put on the off or the vibrated position. The off or the vibrated position. Also, any person desiring to address the council must sign in indicating the resolution, the ordinance, appeal, or public hearing agenda item before entering the meeting. When addressing the council, the speaker must state his or her name and address. Any person desiring to speak to the council on a non-agenda item must contact the city clerk office no later than 2:00 p.m. on the Thursday prior to the council meeting. The subject that he or she wishes to address must be identified and pertain to the city of Mobile business. Any person who has not given proper notice to the city clerk office and wishes to speak on a non-agenda item would not be allowed to address this council. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to address the council. A bell will sound to indicate the end of 2 minutes. 1 minute remains for summarizing. The second bell indicates the time has expired. When addressing the council, there is to be no personal address to any individual council member. All statements are to be made to the chair, who will recognize any council member who wishes to respond. Madam City Clerk.
Approval of minutes of June 7th and 14th.
Second. Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Communications from the mayor.
Well, good morning. It's
Morning.
good to see everybody here this morning. We appreciate you taking time out of your schedules to join us. I have just a couple of announcements this morning. One is has to do with an item that's on the agenda where we actually think it's addressing two issues in the city of Mobile, or two opportunities, and it's has to do with a contract for a litter pickup with Ransom Ministries, which will hire homeless individuals to help us in the picking up of litter. This is a 60-day trial effort. Our hope is that not only will we pick up litter, employ some homeless, but also provide a pathway for some of those who are homeless to be able to go into a full-time job at a later date, possibly with the city of Mobile. And once they become fully employed, they then have the opportunity to have all kinds of services that are available to them. So we're very hopeful that this will have a great outcome, not just for those individuals, but for the city of Mobile. The next item has to do with Mobile Police Department's next Community Days event, which is this Thursday, June 23rd. It will be from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., and it will take place at the Azalea Point Apartments, which is at 651 Azalea Road. This is the second in the series of events that we're hosting in an effort to address gun violence in the city of Mobile. We're hoping that the residents in that area will come out and participate, interact with the social services that will be represented there, as well as our police officers. The next item has to do with the Mobile is this week, right now, we're actually hosting the Fire Chiefs Leadership Conference. It's the 94th Annual Leadership Conference where fire chiefs from all over the country, or the southeast part of the country will be coming at a convention center, and they'll be sharing ideas, best practices, building relationships. So we're grateful to be able to host that. If you happen to see some individuals walking our streets that look like firemen, who they are actually fire chiefs, please tell them thank you for their service. So that concludes my remarks, Mr. President. Excuse me. No, it does not. It does not. It does conclude mine, but I'll flip it over to Director Lawrence Batiste for the Officer of the Month.
Morning, Council, President, Mayor. It gives me great pleasure and honor to stand here this morning to recognize Mobile Police Department's Officer of the Month, Officer William Elliott. Mobile Police Department recognizes William Elliott as the Officer of the Month for May 2022. Officer Elliott joined the department 11 months ago and is assigned to the 3rd Precinct. He is applauded for being highly motivated, having a positive attitude, and always being eager to help wherever needed. Officer Elliott is commended for his assistance with a high-profile murder case. He took into custody the 2 suspects found connected to the Michael Donald Avenue shooting where a 14-year-old girl was killed. While checking the area, he noticed the 2 males just down the street looking on the ground with cell phone lights. He was familiar with one of them from previous encounters. While he talked to them, they acted in a manner that aroused suspicion. He detained the 2 suspects, and they were interviewed by detectives. One was 18 years old, and the other was 16 years old. Both were arrested and charged with capital murder and shooting into an occupied and unoccupied vehicle. During the month, Officer Elliott responded to 139 calls for service and served as backing officer on 77 complaints. He made 12 felony arrests, 56 misdemeanor arrests, and issued 15 tickets. And even more importantly, you've often heard Chief Barber and sometimes even the mayor say that, people that decide to want to be law enforcement officers, oftentimes they say from very small age that they want to be in law enforcement. So Officer Elliott said that in his meeting with the mayor this morning that when he was a young boy, it was something that he always wanted to do. He was also said that he played football in college. He played at Huntington College and he played at University of South Alabama. He was a defensive lineman. And he talked about the highlights of some of the moments in his career, and he played injured a lot. And, he often said that, he thought he was going to be a coach when he went to college. Well, in essence, he is coaching. He is training the minds of the young men and women that he come in contact in our community. And we're grateful that Officer Elliott made a decision to come back to Mobile after he completed his collegiate career in his education to provide service to the citizens of the city of Mobile. And for that, we applaud Officer William Elliott for Officer of the Month during the May of 2022. Y'all notice officers never want to say it.
Congratulations. Madam Clerk.
Okay. Adoption of the agenda.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Agenda is adopted.
Appeals, we have requests for waive the noise ordinance on June the 30th in Cathedral Square, July 23rd on Marine Street, July 1st through the 3rd at Mims Park.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved in second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Appeals passes.
Public hearings. Today is a public hearing to rezone property located at the east side of North University Boulevard at the east terminus of LeBaron Drive South from R1 to B2.
Just open up the public hearing for this particular said item. If anyone that's present would like to address the council, you may come down to the podium by giving us your name and your address. Is anyone present that would like to speak on this particular item? Yes, ma'am. Yeah, for this public hearing at North University Boulevard.
Okay, I'm the one that did the application.
Okay, did you want to address
No,
the council?
no.
Oh.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you said. I apologize.
Oh.
Okay, unless you have any questions or anything.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
If you would,
Yes.
go ahead and give us your name and address for the record.
Sean Porter, 5810 Monica Drive, 8 Mile, Alabama, 36613.
Since this is a public hearing,
Yes.
if you would just go through what your plans are and just some details about it. What we would like to see normally when you go through a change from a single-family residential zoning to a business zoning, like what you were proposing to do, that before we get to this point, that you hold some meetings with the neighborhood just to let them know what your plans are and to let them ask questions about the plans so that you can answer any issues, concerns they may have. I haven't heard from anybody except for one woman who lives across university from where
Yes,
your
and I did
proposed
speak
site
with her.
is, but she didn't know what was going on. She didn't understand the sign that was there or who she was supposed to call. And I would guess that there are a lot of people like that.
Okay.
So if it would be possible, I know within a week you probably can't do it, but if it would be possible for you to reach out to those neighbors in that neighborhood across university, to hold a meeting, to let them know what your plans are and allow them an opportunity to ask questions, I think that would certainly help. It would help me as we go forward to make, a decision on your proposal.
Okay. That would be,
But while you're here,
yes.
why don't you go ahead and
Absolutely. So my plans for that particular area, it sits on roughly around 9 acres. So I want to take, you're asking?
no, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, so it sits on roughly around 9 acres, and I wanted to put a conference event center there.
I think people in the audience saying they can't hear you. Can
Oh,
you
you
speak
can't
a little
hear
bit
me?
louder?
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Okay, all right, I'm sorry. So my plans are, is that better? Okay, so my plans are to put a conference/event center there. I actually have an event production company, and I wanted to put the center to host those different and various types of events, to go anywhere from educational, business, to personal, private events, ceremonies, different things like that.
I think the main question for any of the residents would be just noise. And then, of course, parking, traffic, that kind of thing.
Sure.
Because you'll be directly across the street from single-family neighborhoods.
Sure.
So if you would, why don't you just get with me and I can help you kind of outline what I think they would probably like to hear about and maybe give you some suggestions on how to set up that community meeting?
Oh, absolutely. That would be fine. I have spoken with a couple of residents. It's kind of challenging. I guess I may have been going about it the wrong way to try to reach the people, but I was able to speak with a couple of the neighbors that actually came to the planning commission meeting that we had in reference to that, and we did discuss it then, but I will, expand that search out a little bit further to see, all of that, because it was kind of limited about, I think it was maybe 15 people that
Yeah,
was on that list or so.
Well, the planning commission only sends out notices within like 300 feet or something like that.
Absolutely,
So
yes.
You don't reach many people that way.
Right, absolutely. So that wouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right,
And
thank
if
you
you
very
would just check with Lisa, our
Sure.
clerk, and she can get you in touch with me, give you my contact information.
Okay, sounds great. All right, thanks.
Is anyone else present that would like to speak on this particular public hearing? If not, this particular public hearing is closed.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Pastor Brian Johnson.
Good morning.
Warren.
Brian Johnson, 409 AJ Stokes / Lexington Avenue. I'm here today to speak about the current redistricting process. It is federal government from the 2020 census that gives the Black community proper representation and give them the candidate of their choice. You must do this because it's a part of what is recommended. The 2020 census shows that Mobile is a majority Black city. In doing research, not only as it relates to now, but as it relates to even 100 years ago, the Clotilda, that era, the census showed so many things, and as it relates to then and now, then the Black community did not have any representation. So as a result, we're asking that that in this redistricting and annexation process, that it would be fair to the community and to the overall Black population that represents this city. I think it is imperative to know the past, but it's imperative to know where we're going in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Calvin Martin. Oh, just one moment, Mr. Martin. We're going to bring the microphone. We're waiting.
Let's go to the next speaker and we'll come back to him. Madam Clerk.
Okay, Darlene Martin. Okay, Deborah Cooper.
Hi, my name is Deborah Cooper. I live at 1202 Shore Acres Drive, Mobile, Alabama, 36605. A year ago, on June 20th, 2021, I discovered my neighbor's dog named Pebbles hanging over the fence in the rear of the neighbor's, someone else's yard. She had died a horrific, pointless death. See, just the night before, I discovered her on the tether standing in basically the same place, unable to move. I called the police. I banged on my neighbor's door. The police called animal control, who had me go retrieve the dog. Due to all the complaints, the dog should have never been returned to that owner. And what happened, and basically they educated her, told her that the tether was improper, but they thought they fixed it, and that decision led to the death of Pebbles. When I found Pebbles dead, animal control asked me to retrieve the body. I could not. Instead, the owner finally checked on the dog 17 hours later. Taz, another dog, was killed slowly, attached to a chain that he spent most of his life on. I cannot tell you how many calls were made, especially after the owner moved. AC left notices, but never removed the dog. The dog eventually the owner was eventually charged with animal cruelty, but has never showed up for environmental court. 4 or 5 court dates have been said. The judges say they'll pick him up, have him arrested, and yet he is still free. In Mobile, unless you're the geese at Municipal Park or squirrels at Bienville Square, what happens to our dogs and cats is not a priority. Just this year, when we were having record complaints in regards to roaming dogs in Midtown, the then director at the AC was out catching squirrels for relocation. We need a new animal shelter. The $30,000 study in 2017 says so. The Animal Ad Hoc Committee said so, and the person you're paying for another study will say so. In the past 3 to 4 years, there have been 3 to 4 different directors in those shelters who have left because they have not been given the tools they need to succeed. From what I have seen, the only major change in Mobile about our animals is we no longer have a no-kill shelter. Per their own information site, due to space and need, they sometimes have to euthanize healthy animals. So how many tickets have we given for dogs on chains or improper tethers? How many starving dogs have been pulled? When asked these questions, the answer given is always the same. We want to educate, not alienate. Not giving tickets is against our current ordinances and laws. So if I use that same logic when we have traffic checkpoints, which are always in low-income, predominantly black neighborhoods, are they only being educated or are they getting tickets? Just a thought. Am I disappointed that another year has passed without true progress being shown on Owen Street? That's an understatement.
Thank you so much for coming down.
Okay.
Chief Barber, would you like to address the situation as far as where we at with the animal shelter, and also address the point about the traffic points across town, please, if possible?
Yeah, I'm going to have Jen Green's been assisting with the animal shelter, so she's going to update on where we are with the shelter as well as the facilities.
All right, thank you. And the traffic points, are they just in predominant African-American communities, or they are located across town?
It's across town.
Ms. Green?
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Jen Green. I'm Director of Programs and Project Management, and I've been working with the shelter since August with Joe and many others on our team to make improvements. I really thank Mrs. Cooper because her work and her speaking out has really given a lot of light, and a lot of the reasons why we're making changes are because of people that are very vocal about animal welfare. So I just want to recognize that in the work of the council committee last year and the work that they did. So we've been working extremely hard for the last 9 months on making some changes. It is no secret in our community that we suffer from animal issues in our area. Unfortunately, it's the same across the county. It's the same across our state, the South, and increasingly across the U.S. So it's just something that we're going to have to deal with, and we're working hard to do that with lots of different programs. The name change to Animal Services that we did in October really signifies something that I think is very important, and that is a change to working with the community. So working together to solve problems in our neighborhood. It can't just be the city going in and taking animals away. It has to be working with our community, working on education about the ordinance, working with areas that are having issues, and we're continuing to do that. And I think it's been successful in the ways that we're able to have good communication. The allocation of the funding, Mrs. Cooper may not know about the $1.5 million that was allocated from the surplus to do design and engineering of a state-of-the-art shelter facility. That's something that's ongoing. Our real estate asset management is working on that RFQ right now. We met with them last week in addition to looking for a new property because we do need to move it to a larger area because that property is small. We estimate that we get 400 plus calls for service for animal services a month. That is a lot. We've done some really good things to be able to prioritize and address what's going on. We've hired some new staff, an office manager that helps us triage and prioritize calls that come in, help communicate about how to report those things. We also hired a dispatcher position, so that's someone that works with 311 to go through all the calls that are coming in, help prioritize them, and get animal control officers to the scene, especially on critical cases like the one that Mrs. Cooper was talking about that happened last year. We also hired new animal control officers, kennel staff. We work really closely with 311, which we're really grateful for their help in really understanding what's going on, triaging. We're in constant communication with them. I am as well. We also work really closely with the police department and the mayor's office and Keisha on things that are coming in other avenues so we can make sure everything gets addressed, reported in the correct way so we have data and information. We're also working really closely with our legal department on cruelty and neglect cases. That's really a key thing so we can make sure we prosecute people that are violating the law and cruelty to animals. Very important. We've instituted a foster program. We have a medical program at the shelter now. We have a vet that comes in that does rounds once a week, which is incredibly important, and that's the first time that's happened. We've got new relationships with veterinarians that are helping us with the animals that come in that need medical care, which is many. We have a new budget, obviously, that we're working on because we have some new issues at the new department, so we're really excited about that. I'm happy to talk more with Mrs. Cooper. I haven't talked to her since the council committee time about what's going on, but if anybody has any questions, we're working really hard. We're trying really hard. Our staff is working incredibly hard to address the issues and improve service.
Thank you for the update, Ms. Green. Question, what is the timeline of the completion of the drawing of the shelter?
So the RFQ would go out just like we do normal RFQs. We'd go through a procurement process. The way that Mrs. Boatwright is working on that is it's going to be specifically designed to attract the people that are specifically doing animal welfare facilities. There are about 12 around the country. I recently attended a conference where I talked to 6 of them. They're very interested in our project, so I think we're going to attract that national level, plus the local groups as well, because it's really a niche market for design and architecture that goes on there. It's somewhere between a jail and a hospital, right? You need really specific things. You can't leave. Sometimes your staff can't leave in an emergency, so we really need to be careful on design and make sure it's done, not just for today, but for the next 50 years.
Anything from the council? Any question?
Mr. President?
Yes, Mr. Jones?
Got a question. That there was a very pointed comment that was made on the ticketing, and I understand that you want to educate. I understand that you want to try and resolve the problem before you get to that point. But where do you see that line in the sand where you stop educating and making recommendations to enforcement? Because, you know, that could have been prevented had there been some type of responsible ownership that was forced to take place or remove the animal. So where is that line that you draw? I haven't heard that in the comments that's been made.
That's a great question, Mr. Jones, and I'll tell you what we do now. So we do try to educate because it is true that not everybody knows about new ordinances. Not everybody understands our current ordinance that we have, let alone the tethering ordinance. We do go out and educate because we do think that's important. I'll tell you with the tethering ordinances, a nonprofit has donated the appropriate tethers. We keep them in our animal control trucks now so we can show people. We have one set up at our facility if someone wants to come down and see how it's supposed to be appropriately set up to address the ordinance. But we don't give endless chances. We do go, we are ticketing people when there are violations. If we return and there's still an issue and it has not been addressed, we will ticket. So that is something we're careful about, and our animal control officers are all doing that because it is important to have that follow through, and we have been working very carefully on that.
Mr. Reynolds?
Yeah, I just wanted to know the speaker's address. I didn't catch the yes. Shore Acres. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm happy to answer any other questions any other time as well. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Green.
We have James Baccus regarding Resolution 31451.
Good morning, President Small and the council members, Mayor Stimson. My name is James Baccus. I live at 509 Aslava Street in zip code 36602. I'm a native and resident of Mobile, current resident of the Church Street East Historic District. I'm also a volunteer chaplain at Mobile County Metro Jail and have been a jail minister for 9 years there. I'm also the coach coordinator at Ransom Ministries. Have been associated with Ransom for several years. Was the past president of the Mobile Area Interfaith Conference, which started our reentry program for returning citizens about 6 years ago. I'm also the Emeritus Executive Vice President of Hargrove and Associates, Hargrove Engineers and Constructors. And through that, I'm a part owner through LLCs of 20 South Royal Street, the old Neisner building, the Crest building, and the former WKRG building here in downtown. So, but today I come to you as a structural engineer, and if you'll pardon the metaphor, the difficulty with this SCAFRS project is that I believe it's an unsound structural design for 3 reasons. First, the ceilings are too low. So it's my understanding that if someone gets to an income over $20,000 a year, they must be evicted from this project. And so any facility where someone begins to stand up to their full human dignity and then has to leave this facility has a ceiling that's too low. The second is that the floors are too soft. This project has been pitched as one to support the working poor, right? But the difficulty is that there is no floor for the income level, particularly the earned income level of someone that would be in this project. And so we feel that the floors are too soft. And then finally, we believe that the foundation is unstable. If you look at the 990 of GCHP or these other organizations that are behind this, ultimately what you find is that it's the federal government. We have to drive piles all the way to Washington, D.C. to find the owner of real record here. And so we feel that inherently the project is unstable. So I appreciate your time, and I hope you'll tolerate my little metaphor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christopher.
Mr. President.
Ms. Reynolds.
Just briefly, just to address a couple items, although I'm not going to be supporting the Gafers project today, there is a floor, I think it's like $10,000 for entry, and then you're not kicked out in the event that you make more than the threshold. So those are just 2 points of fact.
Madam Clerk.
Christopher Hinkin, regarding Resolution 31451.
Mr. President, City Council, Mr. Mayor, I came to you 2 weeks ago and expressed my concern over the Gafers Building project. Oh, Chris Hinkin, 111 South Dearborn Street, 36602, and 109 South Dearborn Street. I'm a property owner down here in Mobile. I just don't think downtown is the place for this project. We can better use that money in a different facility, just not at the Enville Square, please. I know that we've come into some more money from ARP. If we could do a project that would encompass so that they're not living in a concrete jungle. These are people that need space to grow. If we keep them in this building, we become their landlord. How are they going to grow? They're going to pay you their rent, but they'll never get any ownership of anything. Let's come up with some affordable housing for these people so that they can move up in the world, not just keep paying money to us. I don't want to be their landlord. I'd like to hand up, not hand out. So, may not agree with me, but I think that we can do a better job. I live in a neighborhood where we are real diverse. We have Emerson Gardens that seems to be working fine. There's just not a place in downtown, the Enville Square, for this project. Please let's not agree to this project. I just don't see it working. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Rebecca Lasher, regarding Resolution 31451.
Good morning, I'm Rebecca Lasher. It's 1413 Aslava Street, 36604 is my address. I spoke to y'all 2 weeks ago, and I've racked my brain for the past 2 weeks trying to come up with what I wanted to say today. But I feel that any additional information would just be a repeat of what was discussed 2 weeks ago. We all know the facts about this project. We all know the information on it. Now it's time to decide and realize that the Mobile, Midtown, and Downtown residents do not want this project. What I do want to make you all aware of is the efforts of those sitting behind me that showed up today. I'm privileged to speak on their behalf, all of those folks up there in the corner. They are Midtown and Downtown residents that have taken time off of work and time off of their busy schedules to stand here opposed to this project. The opposition is in addition to the additional signatures that we've gathered. Our petition opposing this project now tops well over 250 signatures as well. All I ask is now that you respect our time and stop delaying this vote. Please vote today on this project, and please vote now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Todd Fowler, regarding Resolution 31451.
Thank you for allowing me to speak today. My name is Todd Fowler. I live at 805 Government Street. I'm also a downtown resident, just 6 blocks west of this building right here. I love downtown Mobile. I grew up in West Mobile, and I'll never return. It lacks the soul and culture that can only be found downtown in our city. I've spent the last 8 years of my life investing everything I have into its revitalization through numerous renovation projects. I also own and operate a bar downtown that employs 12 people. Of these people that my bar employs, none of them would qualify to live in this project due to the strict income restrictions. This project was sold to many of us as a place for those who work downtown to have a place to live near their work they could actually afford. In actuality, very few, if any, downtown workers will actually qualify. I think the spirit of this project is an absolute fantastic idea. I'd gladly give my public support of it if asked. However, I do not see how the Gafers building is the most suitable. It's a historic building that will have to be retrofitted to a purpose it was never meant to serve. The exorbitant $32+ million price tag puts the price per door at a staggering $100,000 to $150,000, more than what could be purchased in the open market at market rates. This seems highly unacceptable by premise alone. The city is sitting on tons of unused land within extremely close proximity of downtown currently. Why not use this money to build something brand new that could serve 3 times the amount of people in need? I have a suggested property, if you'd be willing to consider. The park in between Augusta Street, Texas Street, and Claiborne Street is virtually unused. I believe it's referred to as Texas Street Park. It's approximately 24 acres of land and only 3 blocks from Canal Street, so it's extremely accessible to downtown from anyone that, if this just as an idea. Let's see. I am a downtown business owner, and one concern I have also is that none of the downtown business owners that I'm aware of were approached and asked their opinion about this project, since we're the ones that actually operate currently downtown and how it may affect our business. I think that is somewhat concerning, since we generate the tax dollars downtown that come from downtown businesses. Anyway, thank you for your time today. I would suggest that these funds be used in already struggling communities that are currently in need. Thank you.
Sabrina Mass, regarding 31451.
Good morning. Sabrina Mass, 1050 Belvedere Circle West, Mobile, Alabama. Good morning, Mayor Simpson, administration, city council representatives, Ms. Lambert, staff. I am here to speak about the Gafers building. I am totally against that at this point because my thing is we have the Boykin Towers, which on Spring Hill Avenue is shut down. And in similarity, and that's an area that definitely needs to stay looked into and revitalized. My mother-in-law lived there for 16 years. She's deceased now, but she loved the Boykin Towers. And you're talking about $8 million going into Gafers. So you have a standing building, Boykin Towers, and they shut down, from my understanding, they're saying because elevator problems. That is a nice building in a nice area on some nice land. And so I just don't understand the logic of $8 million going into Gafers when you have a building that is livable with just needing maybe a few amenities and adjustments. Why can't the $8 million go toward that? And it probably wouldn't even be $8 million, maybe $1 million, $2 million. That is a nice building. So that's just ridiculous, putting $8 million into a building downtown that is not really sufficient for people that you're trying to say it's for. So we have these buildings that are just being emptied, sitting there. So it seems like now in every district there are empty things happening. Hank Aaron, Boykin Building, Civic Center. I mean, Mobile has some nice buildings that need to be utilized. You're getting money from the federal government. Citizens are coming up here saying, do this, do that, but is anybody listening? I mean, housing and urban development, that seems that would go hand in hand with the ARP for this building. take the $8 million from what you're trying to put to Gapers, put into Boykin Building, move families in, and let that go from that. And so I just don't understand the logic of, if someone can explain why, first of all, why is the Boykin Building shut down? Can someone please explain that to me? Because I'm really not understanding that. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Silvia Reid, Resolution 31451.
Good morning. My name is Silvia Reid. I live at 1783 Princetonwood Drive, West Mobile, Alabama. I'm also here to speak on the Gayford building today, and I totally disagree with it. I'm thinking about where I'm sitting there. The body is more than just an eye. Speaking on that, to say that Mobile is more than downtown. I have noticed that a lot of building has been going on just focused on downtown living, but Mobile is a very diverse city, and it needs to be focused. Our focus needs to be focused wide when leadership, speaking to leadership, need to be more focused than just downtown, because there's a lot of people do not enjoy downtown living, although there is some of it I really do enjoy. But we're talking now about a diverse city and county-wise that we need to get the focus now on more people that, and Mobile is more than just for high-living people. There are people that's homeless, but they are citizens of Mobile. There are people in dire need of all kinds of things in Mobile, Alabama. And speaking of also dogs, I love animals so much. I really do. I came to Mobile with animals, and I had to depart from every one of them because of no place to live and bad living condition. But I do love animals. But I think that animals is not the priority in Mobile. People are the priority. And that is the highest standard, that when we're talking about people, we have to love people to the point that we want to see everyone prosper. And that is my thing in Mobile. I want to prosper, and I know everybody else wants to prosper. I also have a business that I've started with the state. That's all the far I've gotten so far. But I do have a plan for homeless people because I've experienced some things in Mobile. Mobile have brought me to a place of wise experience from low places to the wisdom that I have today. And I thank God for that, because now I see every step that I make now as a step of a hike instead of step going down, whether it's a small step or a larger step. But Mobile is very diverse, and we need to get the focus off of downtown for a minute. We need to get the focus on the whole diverse city of Mobile, the county and city of Mobile. So this is my thing, and I do not agree with Mobile having anything else built until some people come up in Mobile that needs to be in a place of living. All of you all have nice living areas. Do you all want anybody else to live nicely? Because you all live nice. I want the progress in Mobile. I love Mobile. I don't want the struggles that I've been through. And I know other people don't want the struggles that I've been through. I've been through some struggles here just trying to live. So please hear my heart today. And if my voice means anything to you all, hear me. I love Mobile. I love downtown, but I don't want to focus on just downtown. I want to focus on everybody. I've been all over Mobile taking pictures, and there is some areas so slum I couldn't hardly live, couldn't stay in a few minutes. It's like loose sewage in some areas. Please, I thank you all for hearing my voice. Mayor Simpson.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And the president, thank you.
But I will tell you this. Thank God you don't look like what you've been through.
Yes, I thank God I've overcome.
You look prosperous. Amen.
Calvin Martin.
Good morning. My name is Rev Calvin Martin. I live at 2411 Cross Street. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you all. I'm here today to address the redistricting and proposed annexation effort, and especially to address why these two efforts must remain separate. The following U.S. Census of 2020, the city of Mobile is required to withdraw the city council district map to ensure the black community is no longer unrepresented in Mobile city government. The new map must include a 4th district, which provides the black community the opportunity to elect a candidate for their choosing. It is of the utmost importance that the map is adopted prior to any annexation attempts. This does not mean the community is entirely opposed to the annexation, but we know as a city need to grow. But mixing the two processes would only further muddy waters. We want to trust this body and this process, but more often than not, we do. It turns out badly for our community. We came to you all with our community map for weeks. We asked for your feedback, good, bad, whatever. We received none. Then, the day of the committee meeting to discuss it, there was a clear attempt to undermine a collaborative effort when the meeting was hijacked and focused on one errant line. When we sit down to discuss in the work towards the compromise, we get home to find that mail pieces and phone calls with bad information and targeting our lawmakers are going out across the city. We are willing to work together on a redistricting and growing our city. But collaboration, compromise, and trust all resides on a two-way street. Your top priority should be passing a new city council district map that provides this long understanding, undeserved community with proper representation and ends this divisive back and forth. Then we can move to the issue of growing the city. We all love to ensure a bright future. Please do the right thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Reggie Hill.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk. And before I begin, I want to offer my condolences to Detective Robert Harris and his family. I hope that we're going to really get to the bottom of what this issue is within our city. I believe there's some answers that the police department should be held accountable for. To the citizens and stakeholders of Mobile, good morning. Reggie Hill, 1007 Center Street. I rise today to address the impact of using taxpayer dollars for government overreach and abuse of power. From enchanting tradition, enduring progress. Now, unfortunately, the majority of the people in this room don't even know what that is. But that's our city's motto. The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much. It is whether we provide enough for those who have too little. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Now, the incidents of last week had my mind all over the place, so it's a little tough for me to really talk about this overreach and abuse of power the way that I would like to directly, but with so much just useless spending on the agenda today, it makes it a little bit easier to be able to do that. I want us to really focus on this idea of our contracts and funding. There's a lot of things that I want to do, and so I'm just going to take them out of order the way that I see them. We have this redistricting that's here on the agenda. It's been on here for weeks. What we're not talking about, though, is the elections. We're not talking about how the Zogby Act allows a sitting dias to determine the people who represent the city. And then we blame it on character and reputation and relationships and all of these things, when we're making far worse decisions that impact the quality of life of our people right here every week. Every single week at that. I want to talk about the contracts and the funding because I know how the time is going to really prevent us from doing what we have to do. Over the past 2 weeks, we've looked at spending about $5 million on equipment, vehicles. Not one of you sitting up here has an inventory list. is not prepared. We don't know what we're doing with those resources. Yet we're replacing them week after week after week. I actually agree with something Mr. Jones said this morning. Why haven't we solicited the nonprofit groups to get out here and take care of our own city, these things that are our matters? How is it that we're just throwing resources to these things when we are the ones responsible? So it's extremely frustrating. I can't even get into the fullness of what it is. It's like our sister cities in this county are just being exposed for things, but we do that every Tuesday. Misuse of funds, all this kind of stuff. Time, was that the first bell or the? Oh, that was the second. So time will not permit, but as someone said last week, we'll be back. Thank you for yielding the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Hill.
Ordinance is held over. 02007, ordinance to provide for the reapportionment of 7 council districts in the city of Mobile.
Motion to lay over to August 9th.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. In the discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Items laid over to August 9th.
01025, I'll take these two together if that's okay. And 01026, ordinance to provide for the reapportionment of the 7 city council districts.
Motion to table. Motion to table.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. In the discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Items tabled.
01033, ordinance to provide for the reapportionment of the 7 city council districts for the city of Mobile.
Motion to lay over until August 9th.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. In the discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Item laid over to August 9th.
Resolutions held over. 31451, update the American Rescue Plan Action Plan to include redevelopment for affordable housing.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. In the discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
Mr. Reynolds.
This one was a more difficult issue than maybe many know. This one had people that were business owners in downtown that were for it, and it had people that were advocates for affordable housing that were for it. Then on the other side, you had business owners in downtown that were against it, and you had advocates for affordable housing against it. So it was not always clear whether or not it was a good idea or not. I'll be voting against this today, and it really comes down to a number of things, but part of that is we're going to further exacerbate an already inconvenient parking issue. There's not enough parking there. And when the project was originally submitted, it was part of a qualified census tract, that application. And then after the census, this qualified census tract changed. So it's no longer a qualified census tract. So it's sort of a technicality that it's in a qualified area. The federal government's really steering the ship on this one, it seems, that the Federal Parks Department is really so heavily involved that they're really dictating what's happening and what's not happening. The city doesn't seem to have a whole lot of say-so with our investment of $8 million. Private investment is on fire in downtown Mobile. And I've heard several projects that are maybe in the works or being explored for housing in downtown Mobile and the surrounding areas. And, us moving forward with a project like this really puts the government in direct competition with all those private industries. And that's just really not the role of government. So I'm going to vote against this today, but in doing that does not mean that I'm in favor of continuing to build on problems created in the past by the federal government, by creating housing projects in all these areas and creating slums and ghettos. I'm just not interested in that. I don't think that solves our problem. What solves our problem is a mixed use, where you have people that are of low income and high income and moderate income all living together. And that's what I want to see if we're going to do a big project. I want to see that sort of interaction. But also, you know, we've got a problem with old single-family housing throughout the city that really needs to be addressed. So it's my hope that we'll be able to find some sort of use of this $29 million to invest into those areas that, you know, have poor single-family housing throughout. And even if they're in historical areas, you know, I think it's worth exploring for this council, you know, what are we preserving in some cases? Does it make sense to preserve a house that was built in the 1800s here? It's next to a house that was built in the 1950s next to it, and one that was built in the 1970s next to it. I mean, we got to kind of come to consensus on what we're trying to preserve. So I would like to see us have a look at some of these areas and maybe make an investment in redevelopment. So that's it, Mr. President. Thank you.
Mr. President?
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, I want to caveat what my colleague in District 4 said. You know, I think he's spot on with a lot of these things. In addition to that, you know, a single-family residence in the middle of an entertainment district doesn't make sense in the downtown area. A development that's going to cost $330,000 per 600 square foot unit doesn't make sense to me. A development that has got a ton of red tape and strings attached to it that the city does not maintain control over doesn't make sense to me. I just think this is a great vision, but if we're going to look at single family improvements, it needs to be for single families, not for single people. And when over 3/4 of the units are for an individual, a one-bedroom place, I don't think that is money well spent. I do believe that, you know, I would love to see the Gafers building revitalized. I would love to see the Gafers building come to something of the potential that we all have visions for and that developers have tried in the past. And, you know, the mayor said something about a month or so ago in one of these meetings talking about the historical associations need to relook our policies on improvements. And I think he's spot on, and I would encourage the historical societies and associations to look into that and make changes ASAP, because we don't need to use materials that are hard to find. And the technology has come so far that we're holding developers hostage to be able to revitalize some of these buildings. And I think the Gafers building is a prime example of that and why it's sitting in the state of disrepair that it is today, because it costs so much money to take it to the actual type of materials to refurbish that. We've got to fix that. So I'll be against this today. Thank you.
And other council members? Mr. Daves?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I have struggled with this item more than most items that come my way for decision. There are we start with a building that's been empty for 40 years right in the middle of our downtown. Now, if there were an easy solution on what to do with it, that solution would have materialized by now, and it hasn't. It would be really nice to have that building refurbished and have it be used and have it contributing to our tax base and have people living in it and have people, more people living downtown, more people shopping downtown, more people dining out downtown. All of those are very strong arguments in favor of this proposal. There are also some strong arguments against it, and those have been identified by both Mr. Jones and Mr. Reynolds and others. Like Mr. Reynolds, I've been surprised by the fact that that there are people who live and work downtown and own businesses downtown who are passionately in favor of this proposal and those who are passionately against it. There are housing advocates that are both passionately in favor of it and passionately against it. There are people all over the city who are either passionately for it or passionately against it. I've gotten calls from both sides. In the end, after a lot of thought about it, I've determined that there's really no clear path. I just got to make the best decision I can based on the facts that I have available to me at this point. And at this point, I'm unwilling to support it. Thank you,
Mr. President.
Mr. Penn.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had the opportunity to visit Charleston back in, I think it was November. And there, in their particular city, they talked about how many of the workers cannot afford to live in downtown in their area. They have to, drive 40, 45 minutes away to just get to work. So I was definitely interested in hearing about this project, this Gayford project, because we know that, we don't want people living downtown not being able, working downtown, not able to live downtown. But today, I believe it's a stronger need for affordable homes for our families. And I believe that we can utilize these funds in a better way. So today, I will be voting against it. Thank you, Mr. President.
And other council members?
Yes, Mr. President.
Ms. Gregory.
I agree with a lot of what we've already heard today, and we discussed this at our pre-conference meeting as well. I think Mr. Dave summed it up very well, that this Gayfers building sitting vacant for so many years certainly provides a blight on our downtown. It's a building that needs to be developed. We would love to see it developed. I guess the question really is, should it be for a combination of retail and luxury condos, or is it better suited for affordable or workforce housing? If it's to be developed for workforce and affordable housing in this plan, then the city's $8 million is needed for that. The other question is the city's $8 million better suited going throughout the city for single-family homes in all of the districts? We have seen a plan that is the administration's Plan B that would accomplish that. In my district right now, I have one developer already working and another developer who has purchased 26 lots that is ready to begin developing single-family homes, and they qualify for this ARP money. I would like to see this money spread evenly as much as possible throughout the city for these single-family homes, like Councilman Penn has said. What is the better use? Is it for this one building in downtown Mobile, or is it better used as we spread it out through the district? And I believe that going with another plan to use it for these single-family homes in neighborhoods where developers are ready to begin building homes for single families that need a decent, safe place to live is the best plan at this point.
And other council members?
Well, Mr. President.
Mr. Carroll.
Now that we can count to 5, if everybody understands that, I think we just got to 5. The Gayfers project was submitted to us by the administration, and it was submitted to us by the mayor's office and the administration under the auspice that it was a shovel-ready project, and it qualified for the use of ARPA funding. Most of us know that in the city of Mobile, that if you've paid attention or been around for a while, that our city is thousands of housing units short of where we need to be, whether they be rental or voucher or home ownership, affordable, market rate, tax credit, whatever they are. We are thousands of units short for, affordable housing, also moderate housing and market value housing that we need. But let's talk about downtown for just a second. I've lived downtown for 50 years. I've lived downtown when I could throw a rock in the window at Gayfer's building and nobody cared. I lived downtown when you could ride your bike up and down that street and the only people you saw down there are people you really didn't want to see. So from, I would say, 79, shortly after Frederick, to where downtown was a ghost town until 93, when you had Southside and Haley's with Parr and Haley and those people making investments. And let's not forget the others, Wendell Quimby and everybody that has put into the downtown before some of the new business owners became involved, before there was any traction or block equity to encourage the viability of new buildings down there, that other people put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into making it a vibrant facility. I remember when I had to oppose the sitting chief of staff on an entertainment district that was said wouldn't be enforceable. And look what it's generated. When we had to go against the grain in order to get what we truly needed downtown. Anybody knows that to have a vibrant city, you have to have a mixture of all types. You have to have the rich, the poor, the middle class, that we shouldn't all be living as one group. I hate to see neighborhoods that have only $400,000 houses in them or $300,000 houses in them. Then I turn around and I hate to see again a neighborhood that's only low to moderate income living. I hate that. We need a mixture of life. We also need that mixture of life downtown so that it continues to grow. If you look at other cities across the United States of America, in their entertainment districts, they just don't have the wealthy or those that make more than $75,000 a year. You know, I hated to get the emails that said, we don't want black people living downtown. I hated to get the emails that said, we don't want poor people living downtown or people of that type. I'll be glad to share them with you. Matter of fact, I've already sent them the lanyard, and if Dale, you guys care to print them now, since we're at this end, please go ahead and do them with the names on them. So I hate to see those types of things happen. But sometimes to get to an ends of a means where we have the best mix for the city, then funds have to be used in other places, in neighborhoods that truly need them. There are census tracts that are all across this city that qualify for this money, where this type of housing is needed. Not just in District 2, because District 2 has a huge 88-acre tract that's needed, and another one that's over on St. Stephen's Road that's needed. But Mobile Terrace has a need. District 4, Ben Reynolds, has a census tract that qualifies. District 5 has a census tract that is a need that qualifies for single-family housing. So it's an opportunity here to use this $8 million in other ways. But there's also an opportunity here, if need be, where we can change up some of the programming that this $29 million also has to benefit the better cause of all of it for low to moderate income living and single family living. We have neighborhoods like the Bottom, the Campground, Maysville, Morningside, that need major attention. And $8 million will go a long way towards realizing those goals. I've been really torn about this project because I love downtown, and I've been invested with downtown for a long time. I think the first job I did was for Elizabeth Sanders at Main Street, Mobile, on St. Joseph Street, in front of Alabama Power. That was 1993 or 4. I can't even remember it anymore. It's been so long ago. But for the job that the Alliance has done in revitalizing downtown and the favor that we've gained, we've really changed it and still have a lot of changing yet to do. So I hate to see this project delayed, because when I spoke to the developer, I think she said she'd keep looking for a way to find additional fundings to make something of this facility, whether it's using city funding or wherever else it is. So at some point, I hope to see some type of residential living there, if it's market rate, higher end rate, or whatever it is. But at this point in time, it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So, guys, keep working at it. Don't stop. I think in the future to be a great place, but just not today.
And other council members. And about 2 weeks ago, 2 Tuesdays ago, I had spoke my piece about this particular item, and I stated, back then, I was against it. And I'm going to go ahead and plant this seed again. We do have, as my colleagues have stated, neighborhoods that actually need attention. And Mobile is on the rise, with this council and the past council and its administration. We got big, great things coming into Mobile area. But just to have, slum neighborhoods, the $8 million can go towards neighborhoods. We have Africa Town that been, nationwide news, it's actually worldwide news, Africa Town. People around the world know about it, been on 60 Minutes and et cetera. But you go around and you get lost, it's kind of embarrassing, You come down to District 3. I was looking at my Zion church the other day, saw a billboard says, Flight Works, exit off on Michigan Avenue. Besides making a left, you make a right, you go into a hood. And it looks, it's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. So those money, that we are getting can go into our neighborhood to bring our neighborhoods up. So when we have visitors that come into our city, they won't have to look at, things that, don't look too good. They can look at things that look pretty nice, a real nice neighborhood, not just in West Mobile, but of course in east side of Mobile too, and south side of Mobile, and of course the north side of Mobile. Anything else from this council? Okay. All in favor? All opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. That should fail.
08518, approved purchase orders for fuel for Wave Transit. 08519, approved purchase order to CDW Government, LLC for iPad tablets and accessories. 08520, approved purchase order to Coastal Tree Company for right-of-way tree removal and limb clearance on Airport Boulevard. 21521, 522, 523 are authorizing contracts with Best Price Services, Butler Complete Services, and Secor Enterprises for right-of-way mowing.
So moved.
Been properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
21254, authorized contract with the Water Institute of the Gulf for a citywide resilience assessment and plan.
Mr. President,
Yes.
this is 21524. I move to hold it over for 2 weeks.
Second.
Been properly moved and second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item laid over for 2 weeks.
If there are no other objections, I'll take the remaining items together. 21525, authorized contract with Gourmet Air Conditioning for HVAC maintenance and repair at various city facilities. 21526, authorized contract with Goodwin Mills Kaywood for improvement projects at Taylor Park, Baumhauer Randall Park, Azalea City Golf Course, and Hope Community Center. 37528 and 529, approve a certificate of public convenience and necessity, Andre Dennis, to operate a shuttle service and to Modern Transport to operate a taxi cab service. 21532, authorized contract with Ransom Ministries for litter pickup.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second in the discussion.
Yes, sir, on 21-532, the Ransom Ministries contract.
Yes.
I just want to thank everyone with Ransom Ministries for helping us put together this contract and service that will, I believe, be a true benefit for the city and for homeless people in our community. Thanks to Casey Calloway and her team as well for working with the folks at Ransom, and for Shonda as well for putting together the areas where the litter pickup will be taken care of. This is a 2-month pilot project that, as we discussed during pre-conference, will allow the city to work with Ransom Ministries to hire homeless people to work in our Public Works Department picking up litter for 2 months. This also helps to fill a gap in hiring within Public Works because our litter crew is lacking enough employees to do the job. So again, I think it's a terrific win-win. I appreciate what Ransom Ministries is doing and for bringing us the idea for the project. For 2 months, we'll take a look at it, see how it works. Hopefully, when the folks who are part of this pilot program get paychecks, then they are available. They will qualify rather for other benefits to get paychecks and other services. And then what we would like to see at the end of the day is to be able to hire them for full-time positions with the city where they get benefits and full-time positions. So again, I just appreciate everybody's help with this and for Ransom for having the idea and bringing it to the city.
Any other discussion with any other council members? And I would like to discuss about item 21-526, and there's some improvements to Taylor Park and also Bonahava Park, which is also known as Duval Park. At Duval Park is going to be designing out a splash pad and also redoing the concession stands and restrooms over there at the Duval Street Park. And also at Taylor Park is going to go ahead and by redoing the pool and also the splash pad, over at Taylor Park. I know someone came down on last week and spoke about Taylor Park. Taylor Park has a contract, and Ms. Smith, if possible, if you can give me a copy of that contract, I would like to know exactly what is the city deal. But I know the city is responsible for the maintenance, and the inner city mission is responsible for the programming at Taylor Park. And but that need to really be known that the city is only responsible for maintenance at Taylor Park, and the inner city mission is responsible for programming at Taylor Park. But many citizens, someone came down last week, was talking about the programming, and also there are some programming that is also at Craighead Elementary School that is more educational, and they also does provide breakfast and lunch and snacks also. But anyway, this is 2 great items that is happening in District 3, and looking forward to seeing this passed on today. Anything else from this council? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
Ordinances being introduced, 64036.
By council rules, this will lay over for 1 week.
Consent resolutions being introduced, 31533 through 6535.
Move to waive the rules for immediate consideration of these resolutions.
So moved. Second.
Been properly moved and second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Rules waived.
31533, authorize a grant application to the Hurricane Response Marine Debris Removal Fund, $500,000, no local match. 37534, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a retail beer, table wine, off-premises only license to Crossroads Gas Station on Schillinger Road. 60535, approve award a special bonus to the Officer of the Month of May.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
CIP resolutions being introduced, 01536 through 09537.
These will be laid over per council rules for 1 week.
Resolutions being introduced, 01538 through 6547.
These will also lay over by council rules for 1 week.
Call for public hearings, 41548. Call for public hearing to consider approval of a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Brown's non-emergency medical transportation service to operate a shuttle service scheduled July 5th.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Public hearing is called.
Announcements.
District 6, Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. If you didn't know, today is the first day of summer. I think it's been brought on with over 100-degree heat, so welcome summer. Here we go. On the 30th of June, we'll have a community meeting for Carriage Hills and Asheville to discuss the Milkhouse Creek subdivision that will be coming up to the Planning Commission soon. Our next district meeting, District 6 meeting, will be on the 19th of July. You want to put that on your calendar. And lastly, go vote. Today is the runoff elections, and your voice can be heard today.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jones. District 2, Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. President. To echo this, today is the runoff day for the primary. Let's turn out and vote. Let's see if we can't get that number well above 50%. I'm hoping very strongly that that may happen. Let's not let the heat stop us. Let me announce that the Administrative Services Committee will meet on Tuesday, June 28th at 8:30 a.m. Let me say that again, 8:30 a.m. to receive information regarding Resolution 21524, authorized contract with the Water Institute of the Gulf for citywide resilience assessment and plan. That is 8:30 a.m. June 28th. Also, the Administrative Services Committee will meet on Tuesday, July 19th, immediately following the council meeting to discuss Lad People Stadium. Again, that is Tuesday, July 19th, immediately following the council meeting to discuss Lad People Stadium. Also, Mr. President, let me congratulate Charmaine Fortune and the Hope Community Center in their group meeting with the young men that were there for this summer. I think she had about 35, 40 young men that she hosted last week, talked about everything from conflict resolution, gun violence, and how to actually grow up and to be a man and a strong father figure in the community. To those that participated, thank you. It was a great day, a great week for the young men out there. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Carroll. Also, Cassandra, if you can make sure that the board get the information about the meeting on July the 19th as soon as possible. Thank you. All right, District 5, Councilman Davis. Okay. District 4, Councilman Reynolds.
No announcements.
District 1, Councilman Penn.
Thank you, Mr. President. This past Friday, we had an amazing time at the Dodge Community Center, at our pool. I want to thank Mobile Parks and Recreations. I think this was the first dive-in movie in the city. So the kids and the families had the opportunity to watch a movie as well as enjoy the pool, and I had a great time. I posted pictures, and a lot of people are requesting that we do this on a regular basis. And so it was definitely a lot of excitement. And I think the next one is planned on July the 22nd. And at Figures Park in District 1. So again, I want to thank Mobile Parks and Recreations for everything that you're doing in the community, as well as on Wednesday, June the 25th, we will have teen engagement. And again, Mobile Parks and Recreations is leading this. I had an opportunity to speak to some people in the community that wanted to see more things for our teens. And so we want to get their ideas. So we will be meeting at the Dodge Community Center. And it's from 5:30 to 7 p.m. We're asking you to bring the teens out so we can get feedback on what they want to see in their community, what they want to see in the city. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Penn. District 7, Vice President Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. President. Last week, we officially opened the new Piggly Wiggly grocery store at Moffett Road and Howells Ferry. I was especially glad to see that they renovated and reworked an old grocery store rather than building from ground up. So a strip mall, well, it's a shopping center there that had a store vacant for a very long time now, has been refurbished, and it really just makes the shopping center. So thank you to everyone who came out, including President Small, who came to help with the ribbon cutting. It was a great crowd and a really nice store for the people who live nearby. Really makes it convenient for them to do their grocery shopping. Also, yesterday, I joined Councilman Penn and Small for the Blacks in Government breakfast. Usually this breakfast is done on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, but because of COVID concerns, the board decided to move it to the Juneteenth, which was yesterday. And so it was in conjunction with Juneteenth, which was also a really good day for this breakfast. Always a great crowd, really good speakers. It was good to see so many of our employees there who were supporting the Blacks in Government. This coming Saturday, as you all know, Distinguished Young Women in Town. Preliminaries begin this week, and the finals are Saturday. Still tickets available if you would like to come. It's a really wonderful program. The talent is terrific. I will be delivering the first runner-up award this year, so I look forward to being there and hope that a lot of people will come out and join us. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Vice President Gregory. And to piggyback behind Vice President, did also attended the Blacks in Government breakfast on yesterday morning. It was a beautiful event. And also I'd like to thank the Parks and Rec for this past week and weekend for Juneteenth. They did a wonderful job in helping the city of Mobile to celebrate the Juneteenth celebration, along with Blacks in Government on yesterday. Looking forward for this holiday to get bigger and bigger every year. Also, this coming Friday, I will have the opportunity to bring greetings to the distinguished young women at their breakfast. Looking forward to doing that. And also would like to remind the citizens in District 3, and especially really throughout the city of Mobile, you know, it is hot, it's, you know, grass is growing. Please dial 311. If you cannot dial 311 from your cell phone or your house, please dial 251-208-5311. I've been getting a lot of calls that people saying that grass is hot and they want to cut in the next hour. Government does not work that fast, and they get very upset with me when I tell them that. And again, if you see overgrown grass, stop at that particular time and dial 311. Please. I don't think I hate that 311 closed at 6. It's not open on Sundays. But please, if you see it, dial it, because again, it does not happen overnight to get cut. Anything else from this council? Anything from the administration? Can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting? Proper move.